Phoenix Rise podcast. Claire here, your host, and we are on day 3 of our mini 6-day series for the visionary framework that we are using in our Elevate Mastermind. So today I have got my fellow host, Jane, with us, and we are going to be talking you through our step 3, because this is such a powerful step, phase, methodology for us all to work through, and I'm really excited to share this with Jane. So Jane, before we dive in, please do obviously introduce yourself to everyone.
Hello, I'm so excited to be here. Claire, our mastermind is going to be incredible. We are doing this mini series, so we're explaining everything that's going to be happening through our methodology. It's going to be incredible. So we're like dual casting here for anyone that's watching on Instagram. We're recording this on a podcast too. We got a lot going on. So we're hoping everything goes well, but this is going to be amazing. And I'm so excited for what we're doing. And we are going to literally transform lives and elevate people to levels that they didn't believe possible, because we've elevated to levels that we didn't believe possible.
Oh my God, it's so true. It's so true. Right. So today these are short and sweet. Okay. So I know I always say that and then I ramble, but we are going to try and keep it kind of like 15 minutes or so. And we are going to go through the third week. God, get my words out straight. The third day. Why do I keep wanting to say week? Third day methodology, which is all about
day 3, part 3.
Part 3. There we go. That's so much easier. It's Sunday. All right. My mind is like, what is happening? But this is all about standing on your story. Okay. So not being in it, not being in victim mentality, not being able to figure out the lessons from your own stories, not being able to figure out how that translates to how you can help people through what you've been through, and really understanding how we stand on top of that to elevate our brand, our voice, our presence, to being the industry thought leader that you know that you're here to be. And what I thought we should do for this particular podcast is literally give you an example of that. So myself and Jane just sharing a bit about our stories, about how we got to where we are now, so you can see this in real time, right? You can see how we actually do this day in, day out, and how powerful it is. So Jane, take the floor.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Okay, so one thing that I love, and with this mini series that we're doing and talking through all this, is like it all falls into place. It all goes together, because we can, we start with being and who we need to be, and then going into authenticity, and then leading into our story. You can't really lean into that story and that if you don't actually feel, like yourself, if you're not leaning into who you need to be. I know with the audio, we're both like,
I know, I'm like, should I move it?
I know the same thing. I'm like, okay, I can't turn the volume fully down here, so that's okay. We're just gonna roll with it and see what happens. But okay, so for me, oh my gosh. Okay, so a little bit on me and my story. Well, first and foremost, I wasn't always in the coaching industry. I wasn't always in this speaking, international speaker world. I was a project manager. I built websites. I still do some consulting for that because it's easy and fun for me. But I was a project manager. And here's the thing. I touched on this in my part 2 series, and so did you, where I came home at the end of the day, at the end of my 9 to 5. Let's be real. It was really like 8 to 8, maybe, job. I was hustling. I love that grind in my early 20s. I was like, I'm out of school. I'm getting the job. I'm doing all the things. Give me all the work. I can take it. But then I came home and I was unhappy. I was unfulfilled. And I had a moment that I'm like, there has to be more to life. There absolutely has to. And in my story, what I can identify now is I was always escaping my life. So I love travel. I absolutely love it. I know you and I have this in common. I absolutely love it. But what I realized is I was traveling to escape my life. I was making so much money that I live in Toronto, Canada, so a big city, like, living downtown. I was making so much money. I was taking 3 trips a year. I needed 3 trips a year. I had to escape my life. I sold all my shit. I moved away. I traveled for 2.5 years thinking that was going to bring me the joy I needed. That was going to bring me the happiness I needed, but it didn't. Of course it didn't, because happiness comes from within. But what I did realize is I have a bigger purpose. I knew I had a bigger purpose. And this is what I'm heavily leaning into now. So I knew when I came back, I decided to move back to Toronto. When I came back, I had to do things differently. I wasn't going to fall into the same trap. I'd reconnected with joys in my life that I didn't even know were really important to me because I had grown and evolved from 20 to 30. So I reconnected with these new values. And now I lean in so heavily to being authentic to myself, being unapologetically happy. That's what I truly seek. And I own that. I own who I am. I own how I want to help people. And I know that there's something bigger for me. There's something bigger for everyone. If you see something bigger, it's possible. And that's really for me, like where I feel with my story is, I started off again, lacking that fulfillment. And now I'm seeking it and fulfilling it every day. And that's just a beautiful thing.
Oh my gosh, I love it so much. And you touched on so much stuff. I mean, we're not going to dive into loads of stuff because this is a short and sweet episode, but touched on so much stuff that I resonate with there. So I'm going to give you guys a very different take so you can see how this can be applicable no matter what your background, right? So I'm going to give you a little, and right, I'm just going to say this before I start because my mind goes like 100 miles an hour, but you can have multiple stories, okay? Because we've all lived a lot of life, unless you're kind of fresh out the bat, you've lived a lot of life, and we've all got a lot of experiences, a lot of lessons, a lot of hurdles, a lot of mountains, a lot that we can call upon in our experience, in our lives that we've had to date. So it's breaking those down, and it's knowing which ones you can use in which contexts and how they help you no matter where you are. So I'm just going to give you one of my stories that I work with, right? So okay, for me, when I was at school, I was always the person that wasn't at school. If I was there, I was in a detention office, right? I was always the one that was out there doing her own thing, told off for talking too much, told off for not listening. If you focused, you could actually be something, you could actually make something of yourself. Well, who's laughing now? But the point is I was always told that I would never amount to anything. I was always told that unless I towed the line, I wasn't ever gonna be successful. I wasn't ever gonna be able to achieve the dreams that I had, to achieve the kind of goals that I had. And I had big goals, right? Even when I was an early teenager, I knew that I wanted to be something. I wanted to be someone in the world. I had big dreams. And yet, my childhood made me believe that wouldn't be possible for me because of my rebellious streak, because I didn't want to be told what to do, because I knew that as soon as I got out of school, I was going to forge my own path. I was going to make my own way, and I was going to do shit my own way. My life took a turn. It did not go how I thought it would go. And I ended up very quickly out of school in a 15-year abusive relationship, which kept me boxed in again. It kept me caged in again. It kept me controlled again, right? I'd already had enough of that. And yet I was repeating the same patterns, just in different scenarios, because I wasn't learning the lessons that I needed to learn. And it took me another 15 fucking years to get that lesson. And now the point is in this story is that it doesn't have to take you that long to learn your lessons, right? And this is the beauty about investing in yourself, from working with mentors, from working with coaches, from getting yourself in the room with people that are further on than you. You get to collapse that timeline. You get to shorten the amount of pain. You get to shorten the amount of hurdles, the amount of lessons that you're going to experience through your growth and through your expansion, because you're learning from people who have already been there and done that. You don't have to go through all the fuck ups yourself. Yes, you will have them, because that's part of our growth, right? That's how we learn from those lessons. But you don't have to take all of the detours that we've done. You don't have to make it as painful as we've experienced. And so my story is about the length of time that it took me to finally learn my lessons, that I was a powerful person, woman in my own right. And that once I believed that. Once I believed that I didn't need anyone else's, what's the word here? I didn't need anyone else's
Approval.
Approval. Thank you, Jane. This is the beauty of having a co-creator. I didn't need anyone else's approval. I was enough on my own. But for so many years, I sought that validation. And that's what kept me small. It kept me confined. It kept me restricted. It kept me boxed in. But once I was able to break free from that and be unapologetically, authentically, unfiltered me, that is when shit changed. And this is what standing on your story is all about. It's about learning your lessons, how they resonate with where you are now, how they can resonate with your audience, and where you can use them in different contexts in your life and in your business.
That's amazing. I want to add something to this because I listened to this incredible podcast yesterday from Eckhart Tolle, and is amazing. And he talks about, it's a good reminder that when it comes to stories, and our story is, look at what you've been through, 15 years in that relationship. That does not define who you are. And I want everyone listening to this, and whether you choose to be a part of our mastermind or just learn these lessons from us, is you can be whoever you want to be. So you tell your own story in your mind. And he talks about something with happiness and unhappiness that really resonated with me, especially as I work so much with my clients on this. And it was that unhappiness isn't from your circumstance. It's how you talk to yourself about your circumstance.
Yeah.
So this is really, and I think for anyone looking to elevate themselves, look, incredible things have happened for me in the last year. In the last month alone, I'm in the same space. I'm sitting at the same desk. Like, sure, I created a new workspace to make me feel more like a boss in September, and that helped. But I'm still in the same thing. Nothing about my actual circumstances changed. I shifted how I looked at it. I'm not defined by the 1-bedroom apartment I live in. Sure, it's beautiful. I love it, but it's like, I'm not defined by that. And I think something to remember is you've got an opportunity. Every single person in our mastermind has an opportunity to rewrite. They can recreate who they want to be. That's the whole point. We're always evolving.
Yeah.
And so we can create that. We're not defined by that. And this is really where the mindset stuff starts to come in, and how we're going to help coach and mentor and guide on this, because we can be whoever we want.
Yeah, I love that so much. And I just want to quickly end, because I know I always say that it's going to be short. But I want to quickly end with like what Jane said at the beginning about how you worked in project development. My background, right? I worked in corporate for most of my early 20s, and I still have a corporate business now, so it's still part of my world. I have a crystal business. I work in self-development. I'm a speaker. I do coaching. I do mentoring. Like, I wear so many different hats because I'm a multi-passionate through and through. But you get to choose. You do not have to lay in a bed that you made. You get to choose. Every single day that you wake up is another day that you get to say, actually, I don't want to do this shit anymore. I don't want to live this life anymore. This is not what I subscribed to. This is not what I signed up for. I want to start living for me, right? So whenever you're listening or watching this, I want you to think now about whatever your business is, whatever your life is at the moment. Is it lighting you to fuck up? Does it feel, when you wake up in the morning, does it feel like, oh my God, I can't wait to do this today? Like, you literally jump out of bed because you're so lit up about what it is that you do. Because if you don't feel like that, we need to talk, right? Because something ain't aligning there.
Oh yeah, you need to get in this circle, because I can certainly tell you that our voice notes just back and forth to each other, we're like, you're on fire. No, you're on fire. We're crushing it. Look at these amazing things we're doing. And it's just a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it's so amazing. So that is day 3, methodology 3, standing on your story. Obviously, we'll go into a lot more depth in the actual mastermind, but this is what that framework is all about. And this is part of you stepping into your next timeline. stepping into your next role as that leadership, as that authoritative figure that you know that you're here to be, because that's why you're in our space, because you know that you're ready for it. So let's do the freaking thing, shall we?
Let's do it. Cannot wait.
Right. Thank you so much, Jane, for your time. And thank you, everyone, for joining us. I will see you all tomorrow.